Yeah, I'd say the ones that, make it rain and no, just kidding. So the type, the type of salaries that people can expect. So we average right now a $50,000 base salary. The lowest salary people really get out of the program or in general as an SDR is 40,000. And the highest I've seen is 60 or 70,000. But typically an average compensation will be a $50,000 base and then $30 to $35,000 in commission for hitting quota, bringing the total for the first year for someone that can hit quota to around $80 to $85,000. Yeah, totally. So the fastest I've ever seen it done, and I think Kate, you might know this person, the fastest we've ever seen it done is 3 months. Someone started as an SDR, they were killing it. In 3 months, they got promoted to team lead, so they were mentoring the new people. And then 4 months after that, they were already promoted into an account executive role. But that's not the average, so we don't sell on that. The average, I'd say, honestly, is probably a year and a half is how long someone will stay in an SDR role. We see pretty good movement around 7, 8, or 9 months. We're seeing a lot of alumni start to get their first significant promotion, but we still sell on expectations of about a year and a half. Dealing with a much more educated buyer, which means the way you're communicating has to be much more honest, much more upfront, and you have to utilize different tactics in order to effectively get your point across. And that's what's different between tech and selling cars or selling anything else, is just how educated your buyer is and how that forces you to be a more upfront, honest person and just changes you as a business person. Not to mention that when you're doing tech sales, there's a lot of tools and resources that tech companies give salespeople. So, salespeople rarely have a phone anymore. All the dialing is done through the computer. They rarely send one email at a time. They send hundreds of emails. And every time someone reads their email, their computer tells them on the top of the screen that, hey, someone's reading your email, you should call them. It's a combination of a different approach and just tons of tools to make the life easier of the individual selling. Man, you're going to get me jealous over here thinking about enterprise salaries. So pretty much anyone that's in tech for more than a year or that has a career in tech makes 6 figures. I mean, it's a 6-figure industry. So any account executive getting promoted out of SDR is going to have a minimum $100,000 offer. An enterprise sales rep is going to make a minimum $160,000, $200,000, really all the way up to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So that's what people can expect in year 3, 4, 5, if they choose to stay down the selling track and not go into management or marketing. A core component of our training, it's technology training. And that's when we go into Salesforce. Everyone gets access to Salesforce, creating leads, changing statuses, things like that. They also get access to Outreach, which is an email tool, one of the ones I referenced. They also get access to Lead IQ, Vidyard, basically all of the tools that a technology person would use in their actual company. They're going to learn how to use them in class. And that's why it's so easy to get a job, because by the time they go to the interview, they literally can check off every single box that the person's looking for. If I pick 3 things, it's the coachability, accountability, work ethic. If I pick one thing, would just be the accountability and, not making any excuses, not taking no for an answer. I mean, there's always going to be another sales rep with more leads. There's always going to be another founder with a better background. I mean, there's always going to be something else, but that's never a reason not to do something.
The great thing about the job search process at Always Hired is, like Gabe said, you really are doing what an SDR does at their job in order to get the job. You're at Always Hired, we're not just going and applying on Indeed or something. Like you said, we're building pipelines. So during my job search, I felt like that was a super valuable part of the process because, I built pipeline, prospected, objection handled, and I was like, now I feel way more ready for this job because I just did that job to get this job.
Yeah, totally. So start from the top. So some of the big public companies they work for Google, work for Yelp, work for MuleSoft, recently won an award for culture, work for Calidus Cloud. So really well-known big public tech companies that are being traded on the stock market. And then we also have a lot of people that work at up-and-coming startups. I mean, Kate works at a really good Series C company. Series C is middle to late stage. You probably have, 100 people there or so, 70 people or so.
110.
110, yeah. So that's a pretty good opportunity, because if they keep doing things right, they're trying to become a public company and they're not that far away. So a lot of people go to mid-stage companies where they feel like they have a little bit more of a voice. They can participate more. They get more freedom. They don't have to run their videos by, legal every time they do it. And then we've also helped people get jobs at really early stage startups. And I mean early, like the company just raised its first $2 million. And there's 15 people at the company, and they're building everything from scratch. And that's a little bit more high risk, so we don't always suggest that. But some people with a lot of experience want that high risk because of the reward. So those are typically the three different stages that we see people going into.